The raw power of the Pacific Northwest coastline can be both beautiful and unforgiving. On this particular autumn morning, as dawn broke over Oceanside, Oregon, that duality would become startlingly clear. The dense fog rolling in from the sea carried something unusual: the sound of labored breathing and the distinctive scent of marine life, but not in a way anyone would expect on this rugged shore. Local photographer Emma Stevens was capturing the sunrise when she first spotted it, a dark shape emerging from the mist. At first, she thought it was a seal, but as the figure drew closer, her blood ran cold. Through her camera lens, she could make out what appeared to be a dog, but its form was grotesquely distorted by countless grayish-white protrusions covering nearly every inch of its body. The creature moved with painful determination, each step seeming to cost it tremendous effort. News spread quickly through the small coastal town. Within hours, videos of the barnacle-covered German Shepherd had gone viral, drawing crowds of onlookers to the usually quiet beach. Some gasped in horror, others wept, but all were moved by the dog's desperate struggle and determination to reach shore. Dr. Rachel Morgan's morning routine at the Pacific Northwest Marine Animal Center was interrupted by an urgent call. As a marine veterinarian with over a decade of experience treating sea creatures and coastal wildlife, she thought she'd seen everything, but the description of a dog covered in barnacles stopped her in her tracks. She grabbed her emergency kit and headed to the beach, knowing that whatever awaited her would challenge everything she knew about both veterinary medicine and marine biology. The sight that greeted her was unlike anything in her years of practice. The German Shepherd's muscular frame was barely recognizable beneath layers of goose barnacles, some forming clusters as large as a human fist. His golden brown coat was visible only in small patches, the rest hidden beneath a living armor that moved with each labored breath. Despite his condition, the dog's eyes held a clarity that spoke of an unbroken spirit. As Dr. Morgan approached carefully, the dog turned to face her. In that moment, a connection formed that would shape the weeks to come. She named him Neptune, after the god of the sea that had both tested and spared him. The name seemed fitting for a creature that had somehow survived what must have been months adrift in the Pacific. Initial examination revealed the devastating extent of Neptune's condition. The barnacles hadn't simply attached to his fur. They had embedded themselves deep into his skin, creating a complex network that would prove incredibly challenging to address. Traditional removal methods used for boats or docks would be far too traumatic. Neptune's body temperature was dangerously high, his breathing shallow, and his once powerful muscles severely atrophied. The local veterinary clinic wasn't equipped. For such an unprecedented case, Dr. Morgan coordinated with the Coastal Wildlife Rehabilitation Center to set up a specialized treatment area. As news spread, marine biology experts from across North America began reaching out, offering theories and suggestions. But with each passing hour, Neptune's condition deteriorated further. The first attempts to remove the barnacles proved disastrous. Even with local anesthetic, the process caused Neptune obvious distress, and the wounds left behind bled freely. Traditional veterinary protocols fell short, and marine animal rehabilitation techniques proved too aggressive for a domestic dog's sensitive skin. Time was running out, and Dr. Morgan knew they needed a breakthrough. That breakthrough came in the form of Dr. Thomas Martinez, a marine parasitology specialist from Vancouver. He had been developing a new treatment for barnacle removal in sea turtles, and after seeing Neptune's story online, believed his research might hold the key. Within hours, he was on a flight to Oregon, bringing with him specialized equipment and a daring new approach. Dr. Martinez's solution was revolutionary in its simplicity. Rather than attempting to forcibly remove the barnacles, his method would convince them to release their grip voluntarily. By introducing a carefully formulated solution into Neptune's system, They could create conditions that would trigger the barnacle's natural detachment response. The treatment was experimental, but with Neptune's condition worsening, they had no choice but to try. The transformation began slowly at first. 24 hours after starting the treatment, the smallest barnacles began to loosen their grip. Neptune's relief was immediate and visible. His eyes, which had been dulled by pain, began to show signs of their former brightness. As days passed, larger clusters began to release, revealing raw but healing skin underneath. The medical team worked around the clock, documenting every step of the unprecedented recovery. Marine biology students volunteered their time to assist, recognizing that they were witnessing something extraordinary. Neptune's case would go on to revolutionize understanding of how marine organisms interact with mammalian hosts. As Neptune's strength returned, his true personality emerged. Despite all he had endured, he showed remarkable gentleness with his caregivers. His presence had a calming effect on other animals in the rehabilitation center, and he seemed to have a particular affinity for comforting injured seals, as if recognizing something of himself in their struggle. The story caught international attention. Marine researchers from as far away as Australia and Japan began studying Dr. Martinez's treatment protocol, adapting it for use in wildlife rehabilitation. Neptune's ordeal had sparked a new field of study at the intersection of veterinary, medicine, and marine biology. Dr. Morgan's bond with Neptune grew stronger with each passing day. When no owner came forward to claim him, the decision to adopt him felt natural. Together, they began making regular visits to schools and marine education centers, where Neptune's story inspired a new generation of marine biologists and veterinarians. Today, Neptune can often be seen running along the same shoreline where he once struggled for survival. His coat has grown back thick and lustrous, with only a few small scars hinting at his extraordinary journey. He has a particular fondness for playing in the shallow waves, seeming to have made peace with the ocean that nearly claimed his life. His legacy extends far beyond the local community. The Neptune Protocol is now a standard treatment for marine growth on living organisms, and rehabilitation centers worldwide have adopted techniques developed during his recovery. More importantly, his story continues to remind people that with innovation, compassion, and determination, even the most hopeless situations can be transformed. If you've been moved by Neptune's incredible journey from survival to triumph, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Join our community of animal lovers and be the first to witness more extraordinary stories of hope, healing, and the incredible bonds between humans and animals. Don't forget to share this video with someone who needs a reminder that miracles do happen, especially when strangers come together to make them possible. The morning sun cast long shadows across Dr. Rachel Morgan's office at the Pacific Northwest Marine Animal Center, illuminating walls covered in marine life diagrams and veterinary certificates. Her coffee had grown cold, forgotten amid the flurry of early calls and urgent emails flooding her inbox. All of them concerned the same subject: the barnacle-covered German shepherd that had emerged from the sea. Local news stations were already setting up their vans outside, eager to capture what would become one of the most extraordinary rescue operations in marine veterinary history. Rachel had spent the pre-dawn hours reviewing every available piece of scientific literature on barnacle colonization of living organisms. In 15 years of marine veterinary practice, she'd treated everything from injured sea lions to beached whales, but nothing had prepared her for this. The existing research focused primarily on barnacle attachment to sea turtles and whales, creatures naturally adapted to marine environments. A domestic dog presented an entirely different challenge. As she gathered her specialized equipment, Her mind raced through potential treatment protocols. The standard methods used for removing barnacles from boat hulls would be far too aggressive for living tissue. Even the gentler techniques developed for sea turtle rehabilitation could prove traumatic for a dog's more sensitive skin. She knew that whatever approach they took would need to be completely revolutionary. The drive to the beach was tense with anticipation. Through her windshield, Rachel could see the growing crowd of onlookers, their phones raised to capture whatever was about to unfold. The local police had established a perimeter, keeping the public at a safe distance while allowing emergency personnel through. Officer Sarah Collins, whom Rachel knew from previous marine animal rescues, waved her through the checkpoint. The sight of Neptune, as she'd already decided to name him, stopped her in her tracks. The morning light revealed details that the early reports had missed. The barnacles weren't randomly distributed across his body. They followed a distinct pattern that suggested he'd been floating on his side for extended periods. Some colonies had grown so large they forced his legs into an unnatural gait. Yet despite what must have been excruciating pain, the dog's eyes remained alert and intelligent. Rachel's initial assessment confirmed her worst fears. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. These weren't just any barnacles. They were Pacific gooseneck barnacles, known for their particularly tenacious grip and the deep anchoring of their feeding tubes. Their presence on a living, warm-blooded mammal was unprecedented in scientific literature. Each cluster was like a small ecosystem, with smaller marine organisms taking up residence in the spaces between larger barnacles. The dog's vital signs were surprisingly stable, though his temperature was elevated. Years of experience had taught Rachel to trust her instincts, and something about this case felt different. The way Neptune maintained eye contact, his subtle shifts to accommodate her examination. This wasn't just any stray. This dog had training, suggesting he might have come from a maritime background. As she worked, Rachel noticed something else extraordinary. Despite the trauma he'd endured, Neptune showed no signs of aggression. When she gentle touched a less barnacle-covered area near his ear, his tail gave a slight wag. This simple gesture of trust, amid what must have been unimaginable suffering, cemented her determination to save him. The crowd's murmurs grew louder as more veterinary personnel arrived on scene. Dr. James Wilson, the state's leading emergency veterinary surgeon, knelt beside Rachel to examine Neptune. His expression grew increasingly grave as he noted the extent of the barnacle invasion. "We've got nothing in our protocols for this," he muttered, shaking his head. "This is going to require something completely new." Local marine biologist Dr. Sarah Chen arrived next, bringing specialized equipment from her research facility. Her expertise would prove crucial in understanding how the barnacles had achieved such extensive colonization of a living terrestrial mammal. "The implications for marine biology are staggering," she noted, carefully photographing the various barnacle clusters. "This could revolutionize our understanding of how these organisms adapt to non-traditional hosts." The immediate challenge was transportation. Every movement caused Neptune visible discomfort as the barnacles pulled at his skin. The weight distribution was so unusual that standard veterinary stretchers wouldn't work. Rachel coordinated with the local emergency response team to modify a marine mammal transport sling, adapting it to support Neptune's barnacle-encrusted body while minimizing pressure on the most heavily affected areas. Inside the makeshift treatment area set up at the Coastal Wildlife Rehabilitation Center, the full scope of Neptune's condition became clear under bright medical lights. X-rays revealed that some barnacle clusters had grown so large they were creating pressure points on his skeletal structure. Blood tests showed signs of systemic stress and inflammation, though remarkably, no major organ damage was detected. The first priority was pain management, but even this proved challenging. Traditional veterinary painkillers had to be carefully calibrated to account for his weakened state and the possibility that his metabolism had been altered by prolonged exposure to marine conditions. Rachel worked closely with Dr. Wilson to develop a specialized treatment protocol, knowing they were writing a new chapter in veterinary medicine with every decision. As news of Neptune's condition spread through professional networks, marine biology and veterinary experts from around the world began reaching out. Each offered theories and suggestions, some more practical than others. Rachel maintained a detailed log of every proposal, knowing that whatever they discovered during Neptune's treatment could prove valuable for future cases. The first attempt to remove a small barnacle cluster proved disastrous. Despite careful preparation and local anesthetic, the process caused Neptune obvious distress, and the wound left behind bled more severely than expected. The team had to stop immediately, realizing that traditional removal methods could cause more harm than good. Even the gentlest techniques used in marine animal rehabilitation proved too aggressive for Neptune's compromised skin. Rachel spent sleepless nights researching alternative approaches, consulting with experts across different fields of marine science and veterinary medicine. The barnacles weren't just surface parasites. They had created a complex network of attachment points that were now intertwined with Neptune's tissue. Removing them incorrectly could cause catastrophic damage to his already stressed system. The psychological impact of Neptune's condition became increasingly apparent as days passed. While he remained remarkably gentle with the medical team, his eyes would track every movement in the treatment room, and he would tense visibly when anyone approached with medical instruments. Rachel began spending extra time simply sitting with him, talking softly and helping him understand that not every human interaction would bring pain. Local fishermen who heard about Neptune's case came forward with reports of having seen a dog swimming far offshore several weeks earlier. Their accounts helped piece together a timeline that suggested he had been in the water for at least 6 weeks, an almost impossible feat of survival that spoke to his extraordinary will to live. These testimonies also raised questions about how he'd ended up so far out at sea. The barnacle colonies presented another unique challenge. They were affecting Neptune's ability to regulate his body temperature. The marine organisms acted like an insulating layer, preventing normal heat exchange through his skin. Even with careful climate control in the treatment room, maintaining his temperature within a safe range proved difficult. The team had to develop innovative cooling methods that wouldn't disturb the barnacles while preventing potentially dangerous fever spikes. Rachel's documentation of the case grew increasingly detailed. Every observation, every failed attempt, every small success was recorded meticulously. She knew they were dealing with something unprecedented in veterinary medicine, and their experience could prove invaluable for future cases. Marine biology students began volunteering at the center, eager to be part of this groundbreaking case. As Neptune's story spread through social media and news outlets, offers of help poured in from unexpected quarters. A marine engineering firm that specialized in barnacle prevention for ships reached out with proposals for adapting their technologies for medical use. Veterinary supply companies offered to develop specialized equipment for the unique challenges of his case. Even local schools got involved, with children sending letters and drawings to encourage Neptune's recovery. The turning point came when Dr. Lisa Anders, a specialist in marine invertebrate biology, made an observation that would change everything. While reviewing videos of Neptune's movements, she noticed that the barnacles seemed to shift slightly with his body temperature changes. This subtle detail suggested that their grip might be temperature dependent in ways nobody had previously considered. This insight led to a series of careful experiments with localized temperature modulation. Rachel and her team discovered that precise control of tissue temperature could influence the barnacle's attachment strength without causing additional trauma to Neptune's skin. It wasn't a complete solution, but it was the first real progress they'd made since his arrival. The complexity of Neptune's case attracted attention from research institutions across the globe. Each day brought new theories and suggestions from experts in fields ranging from marine biology to veterinary surgery. Rachel carefully evaluated each proposal, knowing that any mistake in Neptune's treatment could prove fatal. The pressure to find a solution mounted as his condition slowly deteriorated. Despite the challenges, Neptune's gentle spirit never wavered. He seemed to understand that the medical team was trying to help him, maintaining his calm demeanor even during uncomfortable procedures. This emotional resilience touched everyone involved in his care, strengthening their determination to find a solution to his unprecedented condition. The case began raising important questions in the scientific community about the increasing interactions between marine and terrestrial life. Neptune's condition, while extreme, highlighted the need for better understanding of how marine organisms might adapt to new hosts in a changing climate. His story was already influencing research priorities in both veterinary medicine and marine biology. As the sun set on another demanding day of treatment, Rachel sat beside Neptune's bed, reviewing their progress. The gentle rise and fall of his chest, still labored but steady, reminded her of why she'd chosen this challenging field. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but for now, she could take comfort in knowing they were one day closer to finding a solution. Neptune's quiet strength continued to inspire everyone involved in his extraordinary journey of survival and healing. Dawn painted the Oregon coast in shades of pearl and silver as Dr. Rachel Morgan prepared for another grueling day of assessment at the Coastal Wildlife Rehabilitation Center. The facility's main treatment room had been transformed into a specialized marine veterinary unit, with monitoring equipment humming steadily and the air heavy with the scent of sea salt and medical antiseptic. Neptune's quiet whimpers echoed through the otherwise silent space, a reminder of the urgent work that lay ahead. Advanced imaging results had arrived overnight from the state's premier veterinary hospital, revealing the true extent of Neptune's condition. The three-dimensional scans showed how deeply the barnacles had embedded themselves into his tissue. Like ancient tree roots, their feeding tubes had created an intricate network beneath his skin, following the paths of blood vessels and nerve clusters. The complexity of their integration with his body was unlike anything documented in veterinary or marine biology literature. Dr. Morgan's team discovered that the barnacles weren't merely passive passengers. They had adapted to their unusual host in remarkable ways. The colonies had developed specialized attachment points that took advantage of Neptune's muscle structure, creating anchor points that would prove extraordinarily difficult to remove without causing severe tissue damage. More disturbing still, there was evidence that the barnacles had begun altering their feeding behavior to survive on a mammalian host. Marine biologist Kate Williams, who specialized in barnacle ecology, identified at least 3 distinct species of barnacles colonizing Neptune's body. Each species had established itself in different regions, creating what she termed competitive zones, where the colonies intersected. This unprecedented example of marine adaptation would later become the subject of numerous scientific papers. But for now, it only complicated the already challenging treatment process. The weight of the barnacle colonies had forced Neptune to develop unusual compensatory movements. Physical therapist Mark Stevens noted how the dog had learned to distribute his weight unevenly, favoring certain muscle groups while others atrophied. This adaptation had helped him survive his time at sea, but would require extensive rehabilitation once the barnacles were removed. Even then, there was no guarantee he would regain normal movement patterns. Blood analysis revealed another layer of complexity. Neptune's immune system showed signs of both fighting and adapting to the barnacle invasion. His white blood cell counts were elevated, yet there were indicators that his body had begun treating the barnacles as quasi-permanent fixtures rather than foreign invaders. This biological compromise had likely helped him survive, but made treatment even more challenging. Any intervention would need to account for this delicate balance to avoid sending his system into shock. The barnacles themselves presented a paradox. While their presence was clearly causing Neptune distress, they had also formed a kind of protective armor during his time at sea. The team discovered evidence that this living shell had actually helped regulate his body temperature in the cold Pacific waters, and may have provided some protection from predators. Understanding this complex relationship became crucial to developing an effective treatment strategy. Local fishermen's accounts helped piece together more of Neptune's incredible journey. Based on ocean current patterns and the growth rates of the barnacle colonies, marine cartographer James Peterson estimated that Neptune had traveled over 600 nautical miles. The dog had somehow survived encounters with storms, predators, and the constant struggle to stay afloat while carrying the ever-increasing weight of his barnacle burden. Each barnacle cluster told part of his story. The largest colonies, located along his flanks, suggested he had spent long periods floating on his sides. Smaller, newer growths on his back indicated times when he had managed to swim more actively. The pattern of colonization created a living record of his survival strategy, showing how he had adapted his behavior as the weight of the barnacles increased. The psychological impact of Neptune's ordeal became increasingly apparent during detailed examinations. While he remained remarkably gentle, certain movements or touches would trigger visible anxiety. Dr. Lisa Chen, a veterinary behavioral specialist, noticed how he would tense when approached from certain angles, suggesting traumatic encounters during his time at sea. Despite these psychological scars, his trust in humans remained surprisingly intact. The technical challenges of treatment grew more daunting with each new discovery. The barnacles weren't simply attached to Neptune's fur. They had created a complex biofilm that had worked its way into his skin. This living matrix acted as both barrier and bond, making it impossible to simply cut away the barnacles without risking severe tissue damage. Traditional treatments used for marine animals would be far too aggressive for his domestic dog physiology. Environmental factors added another layer of complexity. The barnacles required moisture to survive, but keeping Neptune's skin too wet risked additional health complications. The team had to maintain precise humidity levels in his treatment area, using specialized equipment borrowed from marine research facilities. This delicate balance became even more crucial as they noticed signs that dying barnacles could release toxins that might harm their host. The case attracted attention from unexpected quarters. Dr. Sarah Martinez, a researcher specializing in biomedical adhesives, recognized that understanding how the barnacles had achieved such tenacious attachment to living tissue could have implications for developing new medical bonding agents. While this potential application offered hope for future medical advances, it also highlighted the unprecedented nature of Neptune's condition. Detailed microscopic examination of tissue samples revealed that the barnacles had modified their traditional attachment mechanisms. Instead of the hard, calcareous base typically used to adhere to rocks or ship hulls, they had developed more flexible attachment points that could accommodate the movement of living tissue. This adaptation was previously unknown to marine biology and suggested remarkable evolutionary plasticity. The team's understanding of the challenge grew more nuanced as they documented the different types of tissue damage present. Some areas showed signs of pressure necrosis, where the weight of the barnacles had compromised blood flow. Other regions displayed evidence of inflammatory responses, while certain spots had developed unusual fibrous tissue that seemed to be integrating with the barnacle attachment points. Neptune's case began raising important questions about climate change and its impact on marine organism behavior. The unprecedented colonization of a terrestrial mammal by multiple species of barnacles suggested that traditional boundaries between marine and terrestrial ecosystems might be breaking down. Environmental scientists pointed to changing ocean conditions as a possible factor in this unusual adaptation. The complexity of Neptune's condition required a complete rethinking of traditional veterinary approaches. Each treatment option had to be evaluated not just for its immediate effect on the barnacles, but for its impact on Neptune's already stressed system. The team had to consider everything from his compromised immune response to the potential release of toxins from disturbed barnacle colonies. As days passed, the urgency of finding a solution grew. While Neptune's condition had stabilized, the barnacle colonies continued to grow and evolve. Each passing day increased the risk of complications and made eventual recovery more challenging. The weight of the colonies was already affecting his spine alignment, and there were concerns about potential long-term damage to his musculoskeletal system. The case drew marine biology students from across the country, eager to study this unprecedented example of interspecies adaptation. Their fresh perspectives sometimes yielded valuable insights as they approached the problem without the constraints of traditional veterinary or marine biology training. One student's observation about barnacle behavior during temperature changes would later prove crucial to developing an effective treatment approach. Local environmental groups began monitoring the coastline more closely, concerned that Neptune's case might not be an isolated incident. While no other barnacle-colonized land animals had been found, there were reports of increasing interactions between marine organisms and coastal wildlife. Neptune's condition had become a wake-up call about the changing dynamics of coastal ecosystems. The necessary equipment for Neptune's care grew more specialized as the team's understanding of his condition deepened. Custom-designed monitoring devices tracked the metabolic activity of the barnacle colonies, while specialized moisture control systems helped maintain the delicate balance required to keep both dog and barnacles stable until a treatment solution could be found. The rehabilitation center began to resemble a hybrid between a veterinary hospital and a marine research facility. Through it all, Neptune's resilience continued to amaze everyone involved in his care. Despite the constant discomfort and the stress of regular examinations, he maintained a gentle, patient demeanor. His quiet strength inspired the team to push through countless failed attempts and setbacks, knowing that somewhere in their growing mountain of data lay the key to his recovery. As the sun set on another day of intensive study and care, Dr. Morgan reviewed their latest findings. The challenge before them was unprecedented, a perfect storm of biological adaptation, survival against impossible odds, and the urgent need to develop entirely new medical approaches. Yet in Neptune's calm, trusting gaze, she found the determination to keep searching for a solution, no matter how long it took or how many established procedures they had to reinvent along the way. The emergency ward of the Coastal Wildlife Rehabilitation Center buzzed with focused energy as Dr. Rachel Morgan assembled her initial response team. Through the observation window, Neptune rested under specialized heat lamps, his barnacle-encrusted form monitored by an array of equipment that tracked everything from his core temperature to the moisture levels of the marine organisms that had claimed his body as their home. Marine biologist Kate Williams meticulously photographed each barnacle cluster, creating a detailed map of the colonization pattern. Her trained eye noticed something unusual about the way the creatures had arranged themselves. Unlike their typical random distribution on boat hulls or whale skin, these barnacles had formed almost symmetrical patterns that followed Neptune's muscle structure. This discovery would prove crucial in understanding how to approach their removal. The first priority was stabilizing Neptune's condition. Dr. Morgan's team faced an unprecedented challenge. They needed to keep both the dog and the barnacles alive while developing a treatment plan. Too much dehydration would cause the barnacles to die and decompose, potentially releasing toxins into Neptune's system, while excess moisture could lead to dangerous infections in his compromised skin. Veterinary technician Mark Stevens developed a specialized misting system that maintained precise humidity levels around Neptune's body. The device, cobbled together from marine aquarium equipment and medical humidity controllers, became an essential tool in keeping the delicate balance required for survival. Each adjustment required careful monitoring of both Neptune's vital signs and the barnacle's response. The initial blood work revealed concerning levels of inflammation markers and stress hormones. Dr. Lisa Chen, consulting remotely from the State Marine Mammal Center, noted patterns similar to those seen in seals suffering from prolonged environmental stress. Neptune's body was fighting a constant battle against the barnacles, while simultaneously adapting to their presence, creating a complex immunological picture that defied standard treatment protocols. Local marine supply companies donated specialized equipment, transforming the rehabilitation center into a hybrid veterinary marine biology facility. Custom-built support platforms helped distribute Neptune's weight evenly, reducing the strain caused by the barnacle's uneven distribution. The platforms required constant adjustment as the team discovered new pressure points and areas of concern. The first attempt at removing a small cluster of barnacles proved more challenging than anticipated. Even with careful preparation and local anesthetic, the process caused Neptune visible distress. The barnacles had developed remarkably strong attachment points, and their removal left raw, bleeding wounds that were immediately vulnerable to infection. The team had to halt the procedure, realizing they needed a completely different approach. Dr. Morgan spent long hours in consultation with marine biology experts from around the Pacific Northwest. Each specialist brought unique insights, but none had encountered anything quite like Neptune's case. Traditional methods used for removing barnacles from marine mammals proved too aggressive for a dog's more sensitive skin, while standard veterinary treatments weren't designed to handle marine organisms. A breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Sarah Martinez, a graduate student studying marine invertebrate behavior, noticed that the barnacles showed subtle reactions to changes in water salinity. This observation led to a series of careful experiments with different saline solutions, each designed to test the barnacle's grip strength under varying conditions. While not a complete solution, it provided the first real clue about how they might eventually be removed safely. The psychological aspects of Neptune's care proved equally challenging. Despite his obvious discomfort, he maintained a remarkable patience with the medical team. Dr. James Wilson, a veterinary behaviorist, called in to consult, noted that Neptune's calm demeanor suggested previous training and human socialization. This insight helped the team develop handling protocols that minimized his stress during treatments. Local media attention brought both benefits and complications. While the publicity attracted offers of help from specialists across the country, it also drew crowds of well-meaning visitors to the rehabilitation center. The team had to carefully balance public interest with Neptune's need for quiet and stability. They set up a live video feed that allowed people to follow his progress without disrupting his care. The barnacle's impact on Neptune's mobility became increasingly apparent as he attempted to move around his enclosure. Physical therapist Emily Rogers observed that he had developed unusual compensatory movements to deal with the extra weight and restricted motion. These adaptations, while necessary for his survival at sea, would require extensive rehabilitation once the barnacles were removed. A specialized diet had to be developed to support Neptune's recovery. Nutritionist Dr. Anna Thompson created a custom blend of high-protein foods enriched with marine minerals, designed to support both tissue healing and immune function. The challenge lay in providing enough calories to maintain his strength while accounting for his limited mobility and compromised digestive system. The technical demands of Neptune's care forced the team to innovate constantly. Standard veterinary monitors couldn't handle the unique requirements of simultaneously tracking a dog's vital signs and the condition of marine organisms. Engineering student Mike Chen volunteered his time to modify medical equipment, creating hybrid monitoring systems that could track both biological systems simultaneously. Each day brought new challenges and discoveries. The team found that the barnacles exhibited different behavior patterns depending on the time of day, suggesting they maintained their natural tidal rhythms even while attached to a terrestrial host. This observation led to timing treatments to coincide with periods when the barnacles were naturally less active, reducing stress on both Neptune and his unwanted passengers. Safety protocols had to be continuously updated as the team learned more about the unique risks of Neptune's condition. The barnacles' sharp edges could easily injure staff during treatment sessions, and their secretions sometimes caused skin irritation in humans. New handling procedures were developed, combining techniques from marine animal care with traditional veterinary practices. The center's staff worked in shifts to provide round-the-clock monitoring. Neptune's condition could change rapidly, and the team needed to be ready to respond at a moment's notice. Each shift change involved detailed briefings about his vital signs, the status of various barnacle clusters, and any changes in behavior or response to treatments. Research teams from nearby universities began conducting careful studies of the barnacle colonies, hoping to understand how they had adapted to living on a warm-blooded terrestrial host. Their findings suggested that the barnacles had modified their feeding behavior and attachment mechanisms in ways never before documented in marine biology literature. Local fishermen continued to provide valuable insights about Neptune's possible journey. Their knowledge of ocean currents and marine life behavior helped the team understand how he had managed to survive so long at sea. This information proved crucial in developing treatment approaches that took into account the full scope of his ordeal. Dr. Morgan's documentation of the case grew more detailed with each passing day. Every observation, every failed attempt, and every small success was carefully recorded, knowing that their experience could prove invaluable for future cases. The unprecedented nature of Neptune's condition meant that they were writing new chapters in both veterinary medicine and marine biology with every treatment attempt. The emotional impact on the team became increasingly evident as days turned into weeks. Neptune's quiet courage in the face of constant discomfort touched everyone involved in his care. Staff members often spent extra time with him during breaks, talking softly and offering gentle encouragement. His responsive tail wags and peaceful demeanor, despite his condition, became a source of inspiration for the entire team. Environmental scientists began studying Neptune's case for insights into changing ocean conditions. The unprecedented colonization of a terrestrial mammal by multiple species of barnacles raised questions about how marine organisms might be adapting to new environmental pressures. Neptune's condition became a focal point for discussions about the increasing interactions between marine and terrestrial ecosystems. The rehabilitation center's resources were stretched to their limits as Neptune's care demanded increasingly specialized equipment and expertise. Support from the marine biology community helped fill gaps in funding and resources, but the team often had to improvise solutions to unique challenges that arose during treatment sessions. As another day drew to a close, Dr. Morgan reviewed their progress with mixed emotions. While they had learned an enormous amount about Neptune's condition, they were still searching for the breakthrough that would allow them to safely remove the barnacles. Each failed attempt provided new insights, but time was becoming an increasingly precious commodity as Neptune's strength was gradually being sapped by his condition. The night shift arrived, ready to continue the constant vigilance that Neptune's condition required. As lights dimmed in the main treatment area, the quiet hum of monitoring equipment provided a steady backdrop to his gentle breathing. Despite the uncertainty that lay ahead, there was a sense of cautious optimism among the team. They were pioneering new territory in animal care, and each day brought them closer to understanding how to help their extraordinary patient. The specialized imaging lab at the Pacific Marine Research Institute hummed with activity as Dr. Rachel Morgan studied the latest three-dimensional scans of Neptune's condition. The advanced imaging technology, normally used for studying whale migration patterns, had revealed disturbing new details about the extent of the barnacle colonization. Each illuminated layer of the scan showed how deeply the marine creatures had integrated themselves into Neptune's body. Specialist technician David Chen manipulated the holographic display, highlighting areas where the barnacles had created complex structural networks beneath the skin. The imaging revealed that the creatures hadn't simply attached themselves to the surface. They had developed intricate root-like systems that penetrated deep into the muscle tissue. These networks appeared to be tapping directly into Neptune's blood supply, explaining how they had managed to survive so far from their natural marine environment. The true scope of Neptune's condition became even more apparent when marine biologist Dr. Jessica Torres identified previously unknown species of barnacles among the colonies. Some had adapted in ways never before documented in scientific literature, developing specialized attachment mechanisms that were far more sophisticated than their ocean-dwelling counterparts. This discovery suggested that Neptune's time at sea had inadvertently become a remarkable experiment in rapid marine adaptation. Environmental factors complicated the treatment planning. The barnacle colonies had created their own microclimate on Neptune's skin, maintaining moisture levels and temperature gradients that differed significantly from both normal canine physiology and typical marine conditions. Any attempt to disrupt these conditions could trigger a cascade of negative reactions in both the barnacles and their unwitting host. The weight distribution analysis proved particularly concerning. Computer models showed that the barnacle colonies weren't just external parasites, they had become load-bearing structures that Neptune's body had adapted to compensate for. Removing them too quickly could cause severe musculoskeletal problems, as his frame had reorganized itself around their presence. The team would need to develop a gradual removal process that allowed his body to readjust progressively. Microbiological studies revealed another layer of complexity. The spaces between barnacle clusters harbored diverse communities of smaller marine organisms, creating miniature ecosystems that were now part of Neptune's biological landscape. These communities appeared to be playing unexpected roles in preventing certain types of infections, making their removal potentially risky for Neptune's overall health. The psychological impact of the condition proved more nuanced than initially suspected. Behavioral specialist Dr. Michael Ross noted that Neptune had developed sophisticated coping mechanisms during his time at sea. His movements, while severely restricted, showed evidence of careful adaptation to the barnacle's presence. This suggested a level of cognitive resilience that would be crucial for his rehabilitation. but also indicated the depth of behavioral retraining that would be necessary. Ocean current analysis painted a staggering picture of Neptune's journey. Marine cartographer Emma Watson used the growth patterns of different barnacle species to track his likely route. The data suggested he had traveled over 2,000 miles, surviving conditions that would have challenged even marine mammals. This remarkable feat of survival had allowed the barnacles time to establish themselves far more thoroughly than anyone had initially realized. The Rehabilitation Center's medical laboratory had become a hub of unprecedented research. Tissue samples showed that Neptune's immune system had developed unique responses to the barnacle invasion. Instead of treating them as foreign bodies, his system had reached a kind of détente with the creatures, creating biological compromises that defied conventional understanding of host-parasite relationships. Technical challenges multiplied as the team delved deeper into treatment possibilities. Standard veterinary equipment proved inadequate for monitoring the complex interactions between Neptune systems and the barnacle colonies. Engineering specialist Sarah Martinez worked to modify marine research equipment, creating hybrid monitoring systems that could track both mammalian and marine invertebrate vital signs simultaneously. The barnacle's impact on Neptune's circulation system revealed itself through specialized vascular imaging. The colonies had developed their own blood supply networks, essentially creating auxiliary circulation systems that intertwined with Neptune's natural vessels. This discovery explained why earlier attempts at removal had resulted in unprecedented bleeding. They weren't just removing parasites, they were disrupting integrated circulatory networks. Environmental scientists studying the case identified concerning implications for marine ecosystem changes. The barnacle's ability to adapt to a terrestrial mammal suggested possible shifts in marine organism behavior that could have far-reaching consequences. Neptune's condition might be an early warning sign of changing relationships between marine and terrestrial life forms. The complexity of Neptune's condition demanded increasing specialization among the treatment team. Each aspect required expertise from different fields: marine biology, veterinary medicine, parasitology, and environmental science. The Rehabilitation Center had evolved into a unique research facility where these disciplines intersected in ways never before seen in medical science. Nutritional challenges emerged as the team better understood the metabolic demands of Neptune's condition. The barnacle colonies were essentially acting as parasitic organs, requiring their own energy supply while altering his natural metabolic processes. Nutritionist Dr. Linda Cooper developed specialized feeding protocols that had to account for both Neptune's needs and the inadvertent feeding of the barnacle colonies. The physical therapy assessment revealed how thoroughly Neptune's musculoskeletal system had adapted to the barnacles. Physical therapist James Wilson documented compensatory movements that showed evidence of long-term adaptation. These movement patterns had helped Neptune survive, but would require extensive rehabilitation to prevent permanent mobility issues. Advanced thermal imaging exposed the complex temperature regulation challenges posed by the barnacle colonies. The creatures had created zones of varying temperature across Neptune's body, affecting his ability to maintain normal body temperature. This discovery explained his unusual tolerance for cold water and highlighted the need for carefully controlled environmental conditions during treatment. The impact on Neptune's nervous system became apparent through specialized neurological testing. The barnacles had established colonies near major nerve clusters, creating pressure points that affected his sensory processing. This neural involvement complicated treatment planning, as any attempt to remove the barnacles could potentially cause serious nervous system disruption. Molecular analysis of the barnacle colonies revealed unexpected genetic adaptations. The creatures showed signs of rapid evolution, with genetic changes that helped them survive on a mammalian host. This discovery suggested that Neptune's condition wasn't just a random accident, but potentially represented a new phase in marine organism adaptation. The rehabilitation center's resources were increasingly strained by the demands of Neptune's care. Each new discovery required specialized equipment or expertise, pushing the boundaries of both available technology and medical knowledge. The team had to constantly innovate, developing new procedures and adapting existing protocols to meet unprecedented challenges. The social dynamics between different barnacle species colonizing Neptune's body provided valuable insights into marine organism behavior. Some species had established cooperative relationships, while others competed for resources, creating a complex biological-political system that had to be considered in treatment planning. The impact of Neptune's condition extended beyond his immediate medical needs. His case had become a focal point for discussions about climate change's effect on marine life behavior, the adaptation capabilities of marine organisms, and the increasing intersection between terrestrial and marine ecosystems. Research teams from multiple disciplines found valuable data in studying different aspects of his condition. Time became an increasingly critical factor as the team's understanding of the condition's complexity grew. The barnacle colonies continued to develop and adapt, creating new challenges even as solutions to existing problems were developed. Each day brought both new insights and new complications, forcing the team to constantly revise their treatment strategies. The public's understanding of Neptune's condition evolved as more details emerged. What had initially appeared to be a simple case of marine organism attachment had revealed itself to be a complex biological phenomenon that challenged existing scientific understanding. The team worked to balance public interest with the need for careful, methodical research and treatment development. As another day of intensive study concluded, Dr. Morgan reviewed the mounting evidence of just how unprecedented Neptune's condition truly was. Each new discovery revealed additional layers of complexity, suggesting that traditional treatment approaches would be insufficient. The true scale of the challenge they faced was finally becoming clear, and with it, the understanding that saving Neptune would require breaking new ground in multiple scientific fields. Morning light filtered through the rehabilitation center's windows as Dr. Rachel Morgan reviewed the latest failed treatment attempt. The specialized solution designed to loosen the barnacle's grip had instead triggered an unexpected defensive response, causing the colonies to tighten their hold on Neptune's tissue. His vital signs had dropped dangerously low during the procedure, forcing the team to abandon the attempt and focus on stabilizing his condition. The setback weighed heavily on the entire medical team. Lead veterinary technician Michael Torres hadn't left Neptune's side for hours, monitoring every slight change in his condition. The German shepherd's breathing had stabilized, but his temperature remained elevated, and the barnacle colonies showed signs of increased activity. Each failed attempt seemed to make their grip on Neptune's body even more tenacious. Dr. Sarah Williams from the Marine Biology Research Institute arrived to assess the situation, bringing with her years of experience in marine organism behavior. Her examination revealed that the barnacles had developed a new defense mechanism in response to the treatment attempt. The colonies were now secreting a previously unknown biochemical compound that strengthened their attachment points while simultaneously suppressing Neptune's natural immune response. The rehabilitation center's laboratory had become a testament to their mounting challenges. Petri dishes filled with failed treatment solutions lined the shelves, each representing hours of careful research and dashed hopes. Equipment borrowed from marine research facilities stood alongside standard veterinary tools, neither fully adequate for the unprecedented challenges they faced. The team had to constantly improvise, combining techniques from different fields in increasingly desperate attempts to find a solution. Neptune's physical condition began showing signs of strain from the repeated treatment attempts. His once steady gait had become more uncertain, and he tired more quickly during his limited mobility sessions. Physical therapist Emma Chen noted increasing muscle tension around the largest barnacle clusters, suggesting that his body was struggling to compensate for the colony's continued growth and adaptation. The psychological impact of repeated failures took its toll on both patient and caregivers. Behavioral specialist Dr. James Cooper observed subtle changes in Neptune's demeanor. While he remained gentle, his eyes had taken on a wary expression. During treatment preparations, the team had to revise their handling protocols, spending more time building trust before each new procedure to help manage his growing anxiety. Local marine life experts brought troubling news from the coast. Similar cases of barnacle colonization had been reported on marine mammals, though none as severe as Neptune's. The phenomenon appeared to be spreading, suggesting environmental changes that were pushing barnacle species to adapt in unprecedented ways. Neptune's case was no longer just about saving one dog. It had become an urgent warning about shifting marine ecosystem dynamics. The technical challenges multiplied with each new approach they attempted. Standard medical imaging equipment couldn't penetrate the dense barnacle colonies effectively, while marine research tools weren't designed for use on living, breathing mammals. Engineering specialist David Martinez spent countless hours modifying equipment, trying to bridge the gap between terrestrial and marine medical technologies. Nutritionist Dr. Linda Peterson struggled to maintain Neptune's strength as the failed treatments depleted his reserves. His metabolism had been altered by the barnacle colony's demands, making it difficult to provide adequate nutrition without overtaxing his compromised systems. Each meal had to be carefully balanced to support his recovery while preventing the barnacles from drawing too heavily on his resources. The morning brought another setback when routine blood work revealed concerning changes in Neptune's immune response. The repeated trauma of failed treatments had begun to wear down his natural defenses, making him increasingly vulnerable to secondary infections. The team had to pause their removal attempts, focusing instead on boosting his immune system while they developed new treatment approaches. Research teams from nearby universities continued their analysis of tissue samples, but each new discovery seemed to complicate matters further. The barnacles weren't just surviving on Neptune's body, they were actively evolving, developing new characteristics that made them increasingly difficult to remove. Their adaptation rate far exceeded anything previously documented in marine biology literature. The rehabilitation center's resources stretched thinner with each passing day. Specialized equipment needed constant modification, medical supplies had to be custom ordered, and the team required ever more exotic materials for their treatment attempts. Despite generous donations from the marine science community, the mounting costs of Neptune's care began to strain the facility's budget. Environmental scientist Dr. Sarah Cooper's analysis of water samples from the coast revealed disturbing patterns. Changes in ocean chemistry appeared to be driving marine organisms toward unusual adaptations, with Neptune's case representing an extreme example of this trend. Her findings suggested that similar cases might become more common as marine ecosystems continued to shift. The pressure to find a solution intensified as Neptune's condition began affecting his internal organs. Ultrasound imaging showed that some barnacle colonies had established connections to his lymphatic system, potentially spreading their influence throughout his body. The team faced an impossible choice between risking aggressive treatment or watching his condition deteriorate further. Late-night research sessions became the norm as the team searched medical literature for any precedent that might help them. They explored treatments from veterinary medicine, marine biology, parasitology, and even human medical procedures, looking for techniques they could adapt. Each failed attempt narrowed their options while adding to their understanding of the condition's complexity. The Barnacles' defensive responses became increasingly sophisticated. When the team attempted to remove a small cluster using carefully calibrated ultrasound, the colonies responded by releasing chemical signals that triggered widespread defensive reactions across Neptune's body. The procedure had to be abandoned as his vital signs destabilized, marking another setback in their treatment efforts. Neptune's quiet endurance through each failed treatment touched everyone involved in his care. Despite the discomfort and stress of repeated procedures, he maintained a gentle disposition, greeting team members with a tired wag of his tail even on the hardest days. His resilience became both an inspiration and a source of guilt for the medical team, who felt the weight of each unsuccessful attempt. The rehabilitation center's atmosphere grew more tense as traditional medical approaches continued to fail. Equipment that had been modified with great hope proved ineffective, and promising treatment protocols led to disappointing results. Each setback forced the team to reevaluate their fundamental assumptions about how to approach Neptune's condition. Marine biologist Dr. Michael Anderson's research into the barnacle's attachment mechanisms revealed why conventional removal methods were failing. The creatures had developed an entirely new type of adhesive protein that responded to removal attempts by strengthening its bonds. This discovery explained their previous failures, but offered no immediate solution to the problem. The physical toll of repeated treatment attempts began showing in Neptune's behavior. His periods of activity grew shorter, and he required more rest between examinations. The team established a rotation system to minimize his stress, but each new procedure still carried the risk of further depleting his declining strength. As night fell over the rehabilitation center, Dr. Morgan faced the growing reality that conventional approaches wouldn't be enough to save Neptune. The Barnacles had proven far more adaptable than anyone had anticipated, and each failed treatment attempt seemed to make them more resilient. They needed a breakthrough, and they needed it soon, before Neptune's strength gave out completely. Emergency protocols were updated daily as the team learned from each setback. New safety measures were implemented to protect both Neptune and the medical team during treatment attempts. The growing list of failed approaches filled multiple notebooks, each documented failure bringing them closer to understanding what wouldn't work, while the solution continued to elude them. The rehabilitation center had become around-the-clock operation, with team members working in shifts to monitor Neptune's condition and respond to any changes. Equipment hummed constantly, tracking vital signs and environmental conditions, while security cameras kept watch for any signs of distress. The weight of responsibility pressed heavily on everyone involved in his care. As another difficult day drew to a close, Dr. Morgan reviewed their dwindling options. Traditional medical wisdom had failed them, and innovative approaches had led to dangerous complications. Time was running out, but Neptune's quiet courage in the face of repeated setbacks strengthened their determination to find a solution. No matter how many attempts it took, a time-lapse video of Neptune's barnacle-covered form captured the world's attention, spreading across social media platforms with unprecedented speed. The footage, shot by marine biology student Emma Chen, showed the German shepherd's careful movements as sunlight caught the otherworldly patterns of the barnacle colonies. Within hours, the video had reached millions of viewers, drawing international attention to the small Oregon coastal town. Renowned marine biologist Dr. Isabella Santos watched the footage from her research station in Australia, immediately recognizing the significance of Neptune's condition. Her team had documented increasing instances of unusual barnacle behavior in the Pacific, but nothing approaching this level of adaptation to a terrestrial host. Within hours, she had booked a flight to Oregon, bringing with her specialized equipment and decades of expertise in marine organism behavior. The local community mobilized in unexpected ways. Fishermen donated their sonar equipment to help study the barnacle colony's response to different frequencies. Restaurant owners organized meal deliveries for the medical team working around the clock. School children sent hand-drawn cards and letters of encouragement, which the staff posted on the rehabilitation center's walls, creating a colorful reminder of the hope Neptune's story had inspired. International news crews descended on the quiet coastal town, their satellite vans lining the streets near the rehabilitation center. Dr. Rachel Morgan found herself explaining Neptune's condition to journalists from around the globe, each interview helping to spread awareness and attract potential solutions from unexpected sources. The medical team had to establish a separate media coordination office just to handle the constant stream of inquiries. Marine research institutions worldwide began offering resources and expertise. The Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution sent specialized imaging equipment that could track the barnacles' metabolic activities in real time. The Scripps Institution of Oceanography shared data from similar cases in marine mammals, helping the team understand the unprecedented nature of Neptune's condition. Social media transformed Neptune's story into a global phenomenon. The hashtag #SaveNeptune trended internationally, drawing attention from celebrities and environmental activists. Marine biology students created detailed infographics explaining the complexity of his condition, while artists shared touching illustrations of Neptune's imagined recovery. The outpouring of support demonstrated humanity's capacity for compassion across cultural and geographical boundaries. Dr. Michael Chen, a specialist in marine invertebrate genetics, arrived from Singapore with cutting-edge portable DNA sequencing equipment. His analysis of the barnacle colonies revealed fascinating mutations that suggested rapid evolutionary adaptation. The creatures had developed entirely new genetic expressions in response to their unusual host, providing valuable insights into marine organism adaptability. Local tech companies stepped forward with innovative solutions. A startup specializing in 3D bioprinting offered to create detailed models of Neptune's barnacle colonies, helping the team visualize removal strategies without risking further trauma. Another company developed specialized monitoring software that could track subtle changes in the barnacle's behavior patterns. Environmental organizations recognized Neptune's case as a powerful symbol of changing marine ecosystems. Conservation. Groups organized educational programs around his story, using it to illustrate the complex relationships between marine and terrestrial life. School groups began visiting the rehabilitation center, learning about marine biology and veterinary medicine through Neptune's experience. The scientific community's response exceeded all expectations. Researchers from diverse fields, marine biology, veterinary medicine, parasitology, and environmental science, contributed their expertise. Online forums dedicated to Neptune's case facilitated round-the-clock discussions between experts worldwide, generating new theories and treatment possibilities. Dr. Sarah Thompson, a veterinary specialist from Canada, brought breakthrough optical imaging technology that revealed previously hidden aspects of the barnacle colony's structure. Her equipment, designed for studying Arctic marine mammals, provided new insights into how the creatures had adapted their attachment mechanisms for a terrestrial host. Neptune's story touched people in profound ways. Letters arrived from around the world, sharing stories of hope and recovery against impossible odds. Children sent their allowance money to support his care, while marine science students offered to volunteer their time. The Rehabilitation Center established a dedicated team just to manage the influx of support and coordinate volunteer efforts. Local artists created a mural on the Rehabilitation Center's exterior wall, depicting Neptune's journey from the sea to shore. The artwork became a symbol of hope for the community, drawing visitors who left messages of encouragement and small offerings. The site transformed into a gathering place where people shared their own stories of survival and resilience. Marine engineering firms reached out with specialized equipment designs. A company that developed barnacle-resistant coatings for ships proposed adapting their technology for medical use. Another firm offered to create custom monitoring devices that could track both Neptune's vital signs and the barnacle's biological activities simultaneously. The academic community embraced Neptune's case as an unprecedented research opportunity. Universities offered laboratory resources and research assistance, while graduate students submitted proposals for studying various aspects of his condition. The Rehabilitation Center became a hub of collaborative research, bringing together experts from traditionally separate fields. Social media influencers with expertise in marine conservation helped spread accurate information about Neptune's condition. Their posts countered misinformation and raised awareness about the broader implications of his case for marine ecosystem health. The online community became an essential part of the support network, helping to coordinate resources and share updates. Dr. James Wilson, a pioneer in marine veterinary medicine, organized an international conference call with experts from 20 countries. The virtual meeting generated valuable insights into potential treatment approaches, drawing on diverse experiences with marine organism attachment in different species. The collaboration highlighted the global scientific community's commitment to finding a solution. Local businesses adapted their operations to support the rehabilitation effort. A custom fabrication shop began producing specialized equipment components, while a marine supply store donated their entire stock of monitoring devices. The community's resourcefulness helped overcome many logistical challenges in Neptune's care. Neptune's story inspired scientific innovation beyond his immediate care needs. Research teams began developing new tools for studying marine organism adaptation, while medical equipment manufacturers explored ways to bridge the gap between terrestrial and marine veterinary care. His case catalyzed advances that would benefit future patients in both fields. The media attention brought unexpected resources to the Rehabilitation Center. A documentary film crew's specialized lighting equipment proved useful for detailed examinations of the barnacle colonies. Their presence also helped document the groundbreaking procedures being developed, creating a valuable record for future research. As Neptune's story spread, it began to influence policy discussions about marine ecosystem protection and veterinary care standards. Professional organizations used his case to advocate for increased funding for marine biology research and improved emergency response capabilities for unusual marine-terrestrial interactions. The Rehabilitation Center established an online platform to coordinate the growing international response. Experts could share data and insights in real time, while supporters received regular updates on Neptune's condition. The platform became a model for collaborative scientific problem-solving, demonstrating the power of connected global expertise. Dr. Morgan's team worked to balance the growing public interest with Neptune's medical needs. They established viewing windows where visitors could observe treatment sessions without disturbing the sterile environment, while educational displays explained the complexity of his condition in accessible terms. The center became a living classroom, inspiring the next generation of marine scientists and veterinarians. As another day drew to a close, Dr. Morgan reviewed the latest batch of international correspondence. Messages from researchers, veterinarians, and marine biology experts filled her inbox, each offering unique perspectives on Neptune's condition. The global response had transformed a local emergency into a worldwide collaboration, bringing hope through the combined power of human knowledge and compassion. The autumn rain drummed steadily against the rehabilitation center's windows as Dr. Victoria Zhang studied the latest data from her laboratory in Vancouver. Her research on marine symbiotic relationships had led her to a stunning realization about Neptune's condition. The barnacles weren't simply parasitic, they had established a complex biological partnership with their host, one that might hold the key to their safe removal. Immediately booking a flight to Oregon, Dr. Zhang arrived at the center, carrying specialized equipment developed for studying deep-sea organism interactions. Her approach was radically different from previous attempts. Instead of trying to force the barnacles to release their grip, she proposed understanding and working with the biological signals they used to regulate their attachment strength. The rehabilitation center's main treatment room transformed into an advanced marine biology laboratory as Dr. Zhang set up her equipment. Delicate sensors designed to detect chemical signals in ocean environments were modified to work with Neptune's unique condition. The sophisticated array of monitoring devices created a three-dimensional map of the chemical communications between the barnacle colonies and their host. Dr. Rachel Morgan watched intently as the first data readings appeared on the screens. The patterns were unlike anything she'd seen in her years of veterinary practice. The barnacles had developed a sophisticated chemical language, using molecular signals to coordinate their behavior across Neptune's body. This discovery explained why previous treatment attempts had failed. They had been fighting against a unified biological network rather than individual organisms. Dr. Zhang's theoretical breakthrough came from an unexpected source: her research on coral reef systems. She had noticed similarities between the way coral polyps communicated during times of stress and the behavior of Neptune's barnacle colonies. This insight suggested a possible approach. Instead of attacking the barnacles directly, they could potentially convince them to voluntarily release their hold by mimicking natural environmental signals. The team worked through the night, synthesizing compounds that matched the chemical signatures they had detected. Each molecule had to be precisely crafted to interact with both the barnacle's natural response mechanisms and Neptune's biological systems. The process required a level of precision that pushed the boundaries of current biochemical technology. Early morning brought the first test of Dr. Zhang's theory. Using a small patch of barnacles on Neptune's shoulder, they introduced a carefully calibrated mixture of synthetic signaling molecules. The entire team held their breath as they watched the monitoring equipment for any response. Hours passed, with no visible change, but Dr. Zhang remained confident, explaining that natural biological processes often required time to initiate. The breakthrough came shortly after midnight. One of the monitoring devices detected a subtle shift in the barnacles' metabolic patterns. The creatures weren't dying or becoming aggressive. They were beginning to alter their attachment mechanism. In response to the chemical signals, it was a small change, but it represented the first positive response they'd seen since Neptune's arrival at the center. Dr. Zhang's approach revealed something extraordinary about the barnacles' adaptation to their unusual host. The creatures had developed specialized cells that could interpret mammalian biological signals, allowing them to respond to changes in Neptune's body chemistry. This unprecedented example of cross-species communication opened new avenues for treatment while revolutionizing our understanding of marine organism adaptability. The rehabilitation center buzzed with renewed energy as word of the initial success spread. Dr. Morgan's team worked alongside Dr. Zhang to refine the treatment protocol, carefully documenting every step of the process. They knew they were witnessing something unprecedented in both veterinary medicine and marine biology, the first successful communication with barnacle colonies using their own biological language. Neptune seemed to sense the change in atmosphere. His eyes, which had grown dull with exhaustion from previous failed treatments, showed new alertness as he watched the team work. The gentle German Shepherd remained remarkably calm during the long monitoring sessions, as if understanding that this time was different from the earlier attempts at removing his unwanted passengers. The technical challenges of scaling up the treatment were immense. Each batch of signaling compounds had to be precisely calibrated to work with different barnacle species while remaining safe for Neptune's system. The team converted part of the center's laboratory into a specialized biochemical production facility, working around the clock to synthesize the complex molecules needed for full-scale treatment. Marine biologists from around the world began arriving at the center as news of Dr. Zhang's breakthrough spread through professional networks. Each expert brought unique insights into marine organism behavior and biology, contributing to the refinement of the treatment protocol. The rehabilitation center became a hub of collaborative research, where traditional boundaries between scientific disciplines dissolved in the face of unprecedented discovery. Dr. Zhang's approach required extraordinary patience. Unlike previous attempts at removal, which had tried to force rapid changes, this method worked with the barnacle's natural biological rhythms. The team established a careful monitoring schedule, tracking subtle changes in both the barnacle's behavior and Neptune's vital signs as the treatment progressed. The first visible signs of success came gradually. Small gaps began appearing between barnacle clusters as the creatures responded to the chemical signals by loosening their grip. These changes weren't dramatic or sudden, but they represented real progress, the first time they'd seen any reduction in the barnacle's hold without causing trauma to either the organisms or their host. Environmental scientists recognized the broader implications of Dr. Zhang's discovery. The ability to communicate with marine organisms using their own chemical signals could revolutionize approaches to marine growth management. The techniques being developed for Neptune's treatment had potential applications ranging from ship hull maintenance to the protection of marine mammals from invasive species. The rehabilitation center's equipment underwent continuous modification. As the team refined their approach, engineers worked alongside marine biologists to develop new ways of delivering the signaling compounds effectively. Each adjustment brought them closer to a full-scale treatment protocol that could address all of Neptune's barnacle colonies simultaneously. Dr. Zhang's presence transformed the atmosphere at the center. Her quiet confidence and methodical approach provided a stark contrast to the desperate energy of earlier treatment attempts. She spent hours observing the barnacles' responses, making minute adjustments to the chemical formulations based on their behavior patterns. The breakthrough attracted attention from unexpected quarters. Biotechnology companies recognized the potential applications of Dr. Zhang's discoveries, offering resources and support for the treatment program. Their involvement brought additional technical expertise and equipment that proved crucial in scaling up the treatment protocol. Neptune's medical team had to develop new monitoring protocols to track the subtle changes initiated by Dr. Zhang's treatment. Traditional veterinary measurements were combined with marine biology metrics to create a comprehensive picture of how both host and barnacles were responding to the intervention. This hybrid approach to patient monitoring would later influence practices in both fields. As success with small barnacle clusters continued, the team began preparing for full-scale treatment. The logistics were daunting. They needed to maintain precise environmental conditions while delivering carefully timed doses of signaling compounds across Neptune's entire body. The coordination required rivaled that of major surgical procedures. Dr. Zhang's breakthrough had implications beyond Neptune's immediate care. Her discovery of the chemical language used by barnacle colonies opened new avenues for research into marine organism behavior and adaptation. The Rehabilitation Center began receiving requests from research institutions worldwide, eager to learn from their groundbreaking work. The local community continued their steadfast support as the new treatment protocol developed. Volunteers helped maintain the complex equipment array, while nearby universities offered laboratory space and resources for producing the specialized compounds. The collaborative spirit that had characterized Neptune's care from the beginning grew stronger with each small success. As another evening settled over the Rehabilitation Center, Dr. Zhang reviewed the latest data with cautious optimism. This breakthrough had provided their first real hope for Neptune's recovery, but challenges remained in scaling up the treatment safely. Yet watching Neptune rest peacefully amid the gentle hum of monitoring equipment, she felt confident that they had finally found the right path forward in his extraordinary journey. Dawn broke over the Oregon coastline as Dr. Victoria Zhang and Dr. Rachel Morgan initiated the full-scale implementation of their revolutionary treatment protocol. The Rehabilitation Center hummed with focused energy as specialized equipment delivered precisely calibrated chemical signals to Neptune's barnacle colonies. Banks of monitors tracked every subtle change in both the marine organisms and their canine host. The treatment room had been transformed into a hybrid marine biology laboratory and veterinary care unit. Mist generators maintained exact humidity levels, while temperature control systems created microenvironments that mimicked specific ocean conditions. The sophisticated array of equipment represented the cutting edge of both terrestrial and marine medical technology, much of it modified specifically for Neptune's unique case. Marine biologist Emma Chen monitored the first responses through high-powered microscopes. The smallest barnacles began showing signs of chemical response within hours of treatment initiation. Their feeding tubes, which had embedded deeply into Neptune's tissue, started exhibiting subtle changes in behavior. These early indicators suggested the treatment was successfully communicating with the colony's biological systems. The technical complexity of maintaining precise chemical gradients across Neptune's entire body required constant attention. Environmental specialist Michael Torres developed a rotating schedule of compound delivery, ensuring that each barnacle cluster received the exact concentration of signaling molecules needed to trigger natural release responses. The timing had to account for both the barnacle's natural rhythms and Neptune's biological cycles. Neptune's vital signs remained stable as the treatment progressed, a marked improvement over previous attempts at barnacle removal. His body temperature, which had fluctuated dramatically during earlier interventions, maintained a steady range that suggested both he and the barnacles were adapting to the treatment without trauma. The medical team carefully documented these promising indicators while remaining cautiously optimistic. Dr. Sarah Williams, supervising the veterinary aspects of care, noticed subtle improvements in Neptune's mobility as the treatment continued. The German Shepherd moved with slightly more ease during his regular physical therapy sessions, suggesting that some of the barnacle colonies were beginning to loosen their grip without causing additional stress to his system. Each small sign of progress reinforced the team's confidence in their innovative approach. The Rehabilitation Center's laboratory worked around the clock, producing the specialized compounds required for treatment. Chief Chemist Dr. James Cooper led a team of technicians in synthesizing the complex molecular signals that mimicked natural marine communication patterns. Each batch underwent rigorous testing to ensure exact replication of the chemical signatures that had proven effective in initial trials. Marine biology students documented every stage of the treatment process, creating detailed records that would later prove invaluable to the scientific community. Their observations revealed unexpected patterns in how different barnacle species responded to the chemical signals, providing new insights into marine organism communication and adaptation. The data collected would influence marine biology research. For years to come, environmental monitoring systems tracked the subtle changes in the barnacle colony's behavior patterns. Advanced imaging equipment revealed how the creature's attachment mechanisms began responding to the treatment, showing the first signs of voluntary release without the trauma associated with forced removal. These encouraging developments validated Dr. Zhang's theoretical approach to the problem. The local community continued their steadfast support as the treatment progressed. Volunteers maintained a constant supply of specialized materials, while nearby universities offered additional laboratory space for compound production. The collaborative spirit that had characterized Neptune's care from the beginning grew stronger with each small success, creating a model for future emergency response to unique veterinary challenges. Neptune's psychological state showed marked improvement as the treatment continued. Behavioral specialist Dr. Linda Martinez noted increased engagement during interaction sessions, suggesting that the gentle approach to barnacle removal was reducing his overall stress levels. His trust in the medical team remained strong, facilitating the long hours of treatment and monitoring required for success. Technical challenges emerged as the treatment scaled up to address larger barnacle clusters. Engineering specialist David Chen worked continuously to modify equipment and adjust delivery systems, ensuring that the chemical signals reached even the most densely colonized areas of Neptune's body. Each obstacle overcome provided new insights into the practical applications of marine biological principles in veterinary care. The treatment's success began attracting attention from marine conservation organizations worldwide. Experts recognized that the techniques being developed could have broader applications in managing invasive marine species and protecting marine mammals from similar colonization. The Rehabilitation Center began receiving requests for detailed protocols and training. Materials from institutions around the globe. Dr. Zhang's team made an unexpected discovery about the barnacles' communication networks. The colonies had developed sophisticated methods of sharing information about environmental conditions across Neptune's body, creating what amounted to a distributed nervous system. Understanding these communication patterns proved crucial in optimizing the treatment's effectiveness and timing. Physical therapist Emma Roberts developed specialized exercises to help Neptune maintain muscle strength during the lengthy treatment process. The sessions had to be carefully coordinated with the chemical treatment schedule, ensuring that movement didn't disrupt the delicate process of barnacle release. These protocols would later influence rehabilitation approaches for marine mammals. Recovering from similar conditions, the Rehabilitation Center's research department documented every aspect of the treatment's implementation. Lead researcher Dr. Michael Anderson coordinated with marine biology institutions worldwide, sharing data and insights that would help develop responses to similar cases in the future. The unprecedented nature of Neptune's condition made every piece of information valuable to the scientific community. Environmental factors required constant monitoring as the treatment progressed. Weather changes could affect the barnacle's behavior, requiring adjustments to the chemical signaling protocols. The team developed sophisticated forecasting systems to anticipate and compensate for environmental variations that might impact treatment effectiveness. Neptune's medical care team expanded to include specialists in marine organism behavior. Their insights helped fine-tune the treatment timing to match the barnacle's natural activity cycles, maximizing the effectiveness of each chemical signal delivery. This interdisciplinary approach created new standards for handling complex cases, involving marine life interactions with terrestrial animals. The rehabilitation center's equipment underwent continuous modification as the treatment progressed. Engineers worked alongside marine biologists to develop new ways of delivering the signaling compounds effectively. Each adjustment brought them closer to optimizing the treatment protocol, while generating valuable data about marine organism response patterns. Dr. Zhang's presence transformed the atmosphere at the center. Her quiet confidence and methodical approach provided a stark contrast to the desperate energy of earlier treatment attempts. She spent hours observing the barnacles' responses, making minute adjustments to the chemical formulations based on their behavior patterns. The local community's involvement grew as positive results emerged. Nearby schools organized educational programs around Neptune's treatment, while marine science students volunteered their time to assist with monitoring and data collection. The case became a powerful example of how community support could facilitate groundbreaking medical and scientific achievements. As evening approached, Dr. Morgan reviewed the day's progress with cautious optimism. The treatment was showing promising results, though challenges remained in maintaining the precise conditions needed for success. Neptune rested peacefully amid the quiet hum of monitoring equipment, his gentle breathing a reminder of the extraordinary resilience that had brought him this far in his remarkable journey of recovery. Morning sunlight streamed through the rehabilitation center's windows, illuminating a sight that brought tears to Dr. Rachel Morgan's eyes. A large cluster of barnacles had completely detached from Neptune's shoulder, revealing healthy skin underneath. The breakthrough they had hoped for had finally arrived, marking a turning point in their extraordinary journey of healing and discovery. Dr. Victoria Zhang examined the detached cluster under specialized microscopes, documenting how the barnacles had released their grip without causing tissue damage. The creatures had responded exactly as theorized to the chemical signals, demonstrating that communication with marine organisms could lead to voluntary detachment. This success validated months of research and countless hours of careful treatment implementation. The rehabilitation center's atmosphere transformed as news of the breakthrough spread. Staff members who had worked tirelessly through countless setbacks smiled with renewed energy as they monitored Neptune's progress. The German shepherd's eyes seemed brighter, his movements more fluid, as if he too sensed the significance of this moment in his recovery. Marine biologist Sarah Chen noticed an unexpected pattern in the barnacle response. The detachment wasn't random. The colonies were releasing their grip in a coordinated manner that minimized stress on Neptune's tissue. This discovery suggested levels of sophisticated behavior in barnacle colonies that had never been documented before, opening new avenues for research in marine biology. Environmental specialist Michael Torres adjusted the treatment protocols to capitalize on their success. The team modified humidity levels and temperature gradients to match the conditions present during the first successful detachment. Careful monitoring showed that barnacle colonies across Neptune's body were beginning to exhibit similar response patterns, suggesting the treatment could work on a larger scale. Neptune's physical therapy sessions took on new significance as areas of his body became free from barnacle attachment. Physical therapist Emma Roberts developed specialized exercises to help him rediscover natural movement patterns. Each freed muscle group required careful rehabilitation, but Neptune approached the challenges with characteristic determination and gentle patience. The technical equipment underwent constant refinement as the team learned from their success. Engineering specialist David Chen modified delivery systems to target specific barnacle clusters more effectively, while monitoring equipment tracked the subtle chemical changes that preceded successful detachment. Each adjustment brought them closer to optimizing the revolutionary treatment protocol. Dr. Lisa Martinez, the center's behavioral specialist, documented remarkable changes in Neptune's demeanor as more barnacles released their hold. His confidence grew visibly with each successful detachment, and his interactions with the medical team showed increasing trust and engagement. These psychological improvements proved as significant as the physical progress in his remarkable recovery. Marine biology students gathered valuable data as the treatment continued showing positive results. Their observations revealed patterns in how different barnacle species responded to the chemical signals, providing insights that would influence future research in marine organism behavior. The Rehabilitation Center became a living laboratory, where traditional boundaries between scientific disciplines dissolved in the face of groundbreaking discovery. The local community celebrated each small victory in Neptune's recovery. Supporters gathered daily outside the center, their presence a reminder of how his story had touched hearts worldwide. Children sent drawings of Neptune without barnacles, their optimistic visions of his future providing inspiration to the medical team during long treatment sessions. Dr. James Wilson, coordinating the veterinary aspects of care, noted significant improvements in Neptune's vital signs as more barnacles detached. His body temperature stabilized and blood work showed reducing stress markers. These clinical improvements confirmed that the gentle approach to barnacle removal was supporting his overall recovery rather than causing additional trauma. The Rehabilitation Center's laboratory continued producing the specialized compounds that had proven so effective, but with renewed purpose and understanding. Chief Chemist Dr. Anna Cooper refined the formulations based on their successful results, creating even more precise versions of the chemical signals that prompted barnacle release. Each batch brought them closer to perfecting the groundbreaking treatment. Environmental monitoring revealed fascinating patterns in the timing of barnacle detachment. The colonies appeared to respond most effectively during certain times of day, suggesting circadian rhythms played a role in their behavior. This discovery helped the team optimize treatment schedules, maximizing the effectiveness of each chemical signal delivery. Neptune's medical records grew into an invaluable resource for the scientific community. Lead researcher Dr. Michael Anderson coordinated with institutions worldwide, sharing insights from their successful treatment approach. The unprecedented nature of the case and its positive resolution would influence both veterinary medicine and marine biology for years to come. The removal of larger barnacle clusters revealed the remarkable healing capacity of Neptune's tissue. Areas freed from colonization showed signs of rapid recovery, suggesting that his body had maintained its regenerative abilities despite months of stress. This resilience amazed the medical team and offered hope for his complete rehabilitation. The Rehabilitation Center's success attracted attention from marine conservation organizations worldwide. Experts recognized that the techniques developed for Neptune's treatment could have broader applications in managing marine growth on various species. Requests for training and protocol documentation began flooding in from institutions around the globe. Dr. Zhang's team made fascinating observations about the behavior of remaining barnacle colonies as their neighbors detached. The creatures appeared to respond to chemical signals from both the treatment compounds and their departing fellow organisms, revealing complex communication networks that had never been documented in marine biology literature. Physical therapy sessions grew more productive as Neptune regained mobility. The team developed innovative exercises that combined traditional rehabilitation techniques with considerations for his unique recovery needs. Each freed area of his body required careful strengthening while protecting healing tissue and managing the weight distribution of remaining barnacle clusters. The success of the treatment led to unexpected discoveries about marine organism adaptation. The way the barnacles had modified their attachment mechanisms to survive on a terrestrial host and their ability to respond to artificial chemical signals suggested levels of biological plasticity that challenged existing understanding of marine life behavior. As evening approached, Dr. Morgan reviewed the day's progress with growing confidence. The sight of healthy skin emerging from beneath detached barnacle clusters validated their innovative approach to treatment. Neptune rested peacefully nearby, his breathing easy and regular, while monitoring equipment tracked the steady progress of ongoing barnacle release. The rehabilitation center had transformed from an emergency care facility into a groundbreaking research institution. Teams of specialists worked seamlessly together, combining expertise from various fields to support Neptune's recovery. Their success demonstrated the power of collaborative approaches to solving complex medical and scientific challenges. As stars appeared in the clear Oregon sky, the gentle sound of waves reminded everyone of the extraordinary journey that had brought them to this turning point. Neptune's quiet courage and the dedication of countless individuals had transformed a seemingly impossible situation into a story of hope and scientific achievement. The breakthrough in his treatment marked not just a victory for one remarkable dog, but a significant advance in our understanding of marine life and medical possibilities. Autumn sunlight filtered through the rehabilitation center's windows as Neptune took his first unassisted steps across the hydrotherapy room. Areas of his golden coat now gleamed where barnacles had released their hold, creating a patchwork pattern that told the story of his ongoing recovery. Physical therapist Emma Roberts watched with professional satisfaction as the German Shepherd tested his newfound freedom of movement, each step growing more confident than the last. The specialized hydrotherapy pool had become central to Neptune's rehabilitation. Dr. Rachel Morgan observed how the warm water supported his healing muscles while providing gentle resistance for strengthening exercises. Custom-designed jets created currents that helped him relearn natural swimming patterns, his movements becoming more fluid with each session. The sight of him enjoying the water, despite his ordeal, spoke volumes about his resilient spirit. Marine biologist Sarah Chen continued monitoring the remaining barnacle colonies as they gradually released their grip. Her documentation revealed fascinating patterns in how the creatures coordinated their departure, suggesting complex communication, networks that challenged existing understanding of marine organism behavior. Each detachment provided new insights into the delicate balance between host and colonizer. The rehabilitation center's laboratory transformed its focus from treatment production to studying the healing process. Dr. Victoria Zhang's team analyzed tissue samples from recovered areas, documenting remarkable regeneration patterns that could influence future medical treatments. The way Neptune's body healed from such extensive colonization offered valuable insights into mammalian recovery capabilities. Environmental specialist Michael Torres developed precise climate controls for each stage of recovery. Different areas of Neptune's body required varying conditions to support optimal healing, while preventing stress on remaining barnacle clusters. The sophisticated environmental management system became a model for future rehabilitation facilities. Dealing with complex marine terrestrial medical cases, Neptune's psychological recovery proved as remarkable as his physical healing. Behavioral specialist Dr. Lisa Martinez noted how his personality emerged more fully as his discomfort decreased. His natural intelligence and gentle nature became increasingly evident in interactions with staff and other recovering animals at the center. These observations provided valuable insights into the resilience of animal psychology under extreme conditions. The technical aspects of rehabilitation required continuous innovation. Engineering specialist David Chen designed custom therapeutic equipment that could accommodate Neptune's changing needs as more areas of his body freed from barnacle attachment. Each device needed to support healing tissue while encouraging natural movement patterns, challenging traditional approaches to veterinary rehabilitation. Marine biology students documented every stage of Neptune's recovery, creating comprehensive records for future research. Their observations revealed how different areas of his body adapted to the absence of barnacle colonies, providing new understanding of how marine organism colonization affects terrestrial hosts. The data collected would influence both veterinary medicine and marine biology for years to come. The rehabilitation center's success attracted visiting specialists eager to learn from their groundbreaking work. Dr. James Wilson coordinated knowledge-sharing sessions where experts from various fields contributed insights to Neptune's ongoing recovery. These collaborations led to innovative approaches in physical therapy and wound care that would benefit future patients in both veterinary and marine animal rehabilitation. Local community support evolved to match Neptune's changing needs. Volunteers helped maintain the specialized equipment required for his rehabilitation, while nearby universities offered research facilities for studying the healing processes observed during his recovery. The case continued to demonstrate the power of community engagement in supporting complex medical challenges. Dr. Anna Cooper, the center's wound care specialist, developed new protocols for managing the unique healing patterns observed in post-barnacle tissue. The areas where colonies had detached showed remarkable recovery capabilities, but required careful monitoring to prevent complications. Her findings would influence future treatments for marine organism interactions with terrestrial animals. Environmental monitoring revealed interesting correlations between Neptune's recovery progress and natural oceanic rhythms. The healing tissue seemed to respond to tidal patterns, suggesting lasting influences from his time at sea. This discovery led to timing rehabilitation sessions to align with these natural cycles, optimizing the effectiveness of physical therapy. Neptune's exercise regimen grew more sophisticated as his strength returned. Physical therapist Emma Roberts incorporated elements from both terrestrial and marine animal rehabilitation techniques, creating a unique program that supported his extraordinary recovery needs. His progress challenged conventional understanding of physical rehabilitation possibilities. The Rehabilitation Center's research department coordinated with marine science institutions worldwide, sharing insights from Neptune's recovery process. Lead researcher Dr. Michael Anderson documented how different healing phases corresponded with barnacle detachment patterns, providing valuable data for future cases involving marine organism colonization of terrestrial hosts. The remaining barnacle clusters required ongoing attention during rehabilitation. Dr. Zhang's team maintained careful chemical balance while supporting Neptune's increasing activity levels, ensuring that the departure of remaining colonies wouldn't interfere with his recovery progress. This delicate management demonstrated new possibilities in treating complex marine terrestrial medical conditions. Neptune's improving mobility allowed for more varied therapy sessions. The team incorporated outdoor exercises in a specially designed rehabilitation garden, where different terrain types helped him rebuild strength and coordination. His obvious enjoyment of these sessions reinforced the importance of maintaining positive psychological associations during long-term recovery. The medical team documented unexpected benefits from the gradual nature of barnacle detachment. The Progressive removal allowed Neptune's body to adjust gradually to changing weight distribution and surface conditions, preventing the shock that might have resulted from sudden removal. This observation influenced protocols for treating other cases of extensive marine organism colonization. Physical therapy innovations emerged from Neptune's unique case. The team developed new approaches to supporting partially affected muscle groups, creating exercises that could be modified as more areas freed from barnacle attachment. These techniques would later be adapted for rehabilitation of marine mammals recovering from various injuries. The Rehabilitation Center expanded its facilities to incorporate lessons learned from Neptune's recovery. New therapy areas included features designed to support the transition from marine-influenced to normal terrestrial movement patterns. The improvements would benefit future patients while serving as a model for other rehabilitation facilities. Environmental factors continued, influencing recovery protocols. The team maintained careful control over humidity and temperature levels, creating optimal conditions for healing while preventing stress on remaining barnacle colonies. This balanced approach demonstrated new possibilities in managing complex environmental medical cases. As another day of rehabilitation drew to a close, Dr. Morgan reviewed Neptune's progress with quiet satisfaction. His recovery had exceeded all expectations, each small victory contributing to their understanding of what was possible in veterinary rehabilitation. The sight of him resting peacefully, his partially restored coat gleaming in the evening light, served as a testament to the remarkable journey of healing and discovery they had undertaken together. Throughout the facility, teams of specialists continued their work, incorporating new insights from Neptune's ongoing recovery into their understanding of marine terrestrial medical challenges. His case had opened new frontiers in rehabilitation medicine, proving that with innovation, dedication, and careful attention to natural healing processes, seemingly impossible recoveries could become reality. Spring sunshine warmed the Oregon coastline as Neptune bounded along the beach, his fully restored coat gleaming golden in the morning light. Dr. Rachel Morgan watched her former patient with quiet joy, marveling at how completely he had recovered. From his extraordinary ordeal, the once barnacle-covered dog now moved with the grace and confidence of a healthy German shepherd, while his gentle nature had touched countless lives during his remarkable journey of healing. The scientific impact of Neptune's case resonated through multiple fields of research. Dr. Victoria Zhang's groundbreaking treatment protocols had revolutionized approaches to marine organism removal, while the documented recovery process provided invaluable insights into mammalian healing capabilities. Research papers detailing the case appeared in prestigious journals, inspiring new directions in both veterinary medicine and marine biology. Marine research institutions worldwide began implementing lessons learned from Neptune's treatment. The chemical communication techniques developed for his care led to innovations in managing marine growth on various species. Rehabilitation centers adopted modified versions of the protocols, creating new possibilities for treating animals affected. By changing ocean conditions, the ripple effects of his case influenced scientific understanding far beyond initial expectations. The Rehabilitation Center transformed into an international teaching facility where specialists from diverse fields studied the implications of Neptune's recovery. Veterinarians learned alongside marine biologists. Environmental scientists collaborated with medical researchers, and traditional boundaries between disciplines dissolved in the pursuit of new knowledge. The collaborative approach that saved one dog's life evolved into a model for addressing complex environmental medical challenges. Environmental monitoring systems developed for Neptune's treatment found applications in broader marine conservation efforts, The sophisticated equipment designed to track chemical signals and biological responses proved valuable in studying marine ecosystem changes. These technological advances enhanced understanding of how marine organisms adapt to new environments, contributing to efforts at protecting vulnerable species. The psychological aspects of Neptune's recovery influenced approaches to animal rehabilitation. His remarkable resilience and maintenance of gentle temperament despite extreme stress provided insights into animal cognitive adaptation. Behavioral specialists incorporated these lessons into treatment protocols for traumatized animals, recognizing the importance of maintaining positive associations during long-term recovery. Local community involvement in Neptune's case inspired new models of public engagement in scientific research. Schools developed marine biology programs around his story, while citizen science initiatives emerged to monitor marine organism behavior along the coast. The partnership between professional researchers and community volunteers demonstrated how public participation could enhance scientific understanding while fostering environmental awareness. Technical innovations sparked by Neptune's treatment continued evolving to serve broader purposes. Engineering solutions developed for his care found applications in marine research and wildlife rehabilitation. The specialized equipment designed for managing his complex condition adapted to support various species, creating new possibilities in veterinary and marine animal medicine. Neptune's story catalyzed important discussions about changing marine ecosystems. His unprecedented condition highlighted the need for better understanding of how marine organisms adapt to new environments. Conservation organizations used his case to illustrate the increasing interactions between marine and terrestrial life, emphasizing the importance of comprehensive ecosystem management approaches. The rehabilitation center's success led to establishment of new protocols for handling unusual marine terrestrial medical cases. International veterinary organizations adopted guidelines based on Neptune's treatment, ensuring that future cases would benefit from lessons learned during his care. The standardized approaches developed through his recovery created a foundation for addressing similar challenges worldwide. Research facilities expanded their focus to include studies of marine organism adaptation to terrestrial hosts. Neptune's case demonstrated possibilities previously unconsidered in marine biology, inspiring new investigations into how marine life responds to changing environmental conditions. The scientific questions raised by his condition continued generating valuable insights long after his recovery. Medical technologies developed for Neptune's treatment found unexpected applications in human medicine. The gentle removal techniques and healing protocols influenced approaches to treating certain skin conditions and parasitic infections. His case demonstrated how veterinary innovations could contribute to broader medical advances, highlighting the interconnected nature of medical research. Conservation efforts gained new perspectives from studying Neptune's journey. His survival demonstrated both the resilience of life and the increasing complexity of marine-terrestrial interactions. Environmental protection programs incorporated insights from his case into their planning, recognizing the need for flexible approaches to ecosystem management in changing global conditions. The Rehabilitation Center established permanent educational programs based on Neptune's recovery. Veterinary students trained alongside marine biology researchers, learning to approach complex medical challenges from multiple perspectives. The interdisciplinary education model that emerged from his case influenced professional training programs worldwide. Neptune's gentle interactions with visitors to the Rehabilitation Center highlighted the therapeutic potential of animal encounters. His calm presence during recovery inspired development of animal-assisted therapy programs, where his story encouraged patients facing their own challenging recoveries. The emotional impact of his journey extended far beyond the scientific achievements. It represented international collaborations sparked by Neptune's case continued generating new insights. Researchers worldwide built upon the foundations established during his treatment, expanding understanding of marine organism behavior and adaptation. The scientific networks formed through his recovery fostered ongoing cooperation in addressing environmental and medical challenges. The technical achievements in Neptune's treatment led to advancements in veterinary medical equipment. Manufacturers incorporated lessons from his case into designs for new rehabilitation and monitoring devices. The specialized tools developed for his care evolved to support treatment of various species, enhancing capabilities in veterinary medicine. Environmental education programs flourished around Neptune's story. Students learned about marine biology, veterinary medicine, and ecosystem interconnections through studying his case. His journey from survival to recovery demonstrated the importance of scientific innovation while inspiring future generations of researchers and veterinarians. The long-term implications of Neptune's recovery continued unfolding through ongoing research. Marine biology studies revealed new aspects of barnacle adaptation, while veterinary medicine benefited from documented healing processes. His case remained a valuable source of scientific insights, contributing to understanding of both marine and terrestrial life. Neptune's story touched hearts worldwide while advancing scientific knowledge. His journey demonstrated the extraordinary possibilities that emerge when human compassion combines with scientific innovation. As he played along the shoreline, his joy in simple moments reflected the triumph of hope and healing over seemingly impossible odds. Up next, you've got two more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out.